the 5818 that runs from the root to the spleen carries the awareness of patterns that lead to more joy. So in the 58, we've got joy. We've got the impulse for joy, for society to have joy. These outer channels, let's go back to this one. These outer channels of collective circuitry are concerned with society. This energy is not personal. It's not the up-close personal energy that is concerned with the tribe. And it's not the personal type of energy that is embodied by the individual circuitry that's concerned with the self. It's about the bigger picture of what's good for the whole, what's good for society. When you have the 5818, you have an ability to make a judgment about what needs to be corrected in a pattern to have a joyful outcome, so that everyone has a joyful outcome. So this channel is about sharing the joy of improvement, about testing out things and perfecting things and spotting patterns that can bring about improvement, and there's an inherent joy in that. It's kind of like the joy that comes when you're working a puzzle and all the pieces are snapping together, and right at the very end you've got those last few pieces and you snap that last piece in and there's this sense of joy. Or if you've ever worked a Rubik's Cube and you get all of the colors to line up on all of the sides of the Rubik's Cube, you've engaged in this logical process to correct those patterns, and then you have this joy. That's the kind of joy that's experienced in the 5818. And because it's collective, there's a need to share. There's a need to share the correction. So using the working out the puzzle or the Rubik's Cube example, the person with the 5818 may actually be the one standing on the outside offering the corrections, put this here, do this there, so that it can all come together for the highest good of all. So I also call this circuitry on this side, both the 5818 and the 4816, the highest good of all channel, because it's concerned with sharing things so that all people benefit. So if you have the gate 18 without the defined gate 58, there can be a tendency to have perfectionism and fall into fault finding, because what you're amplifying is this energy for joy, this desire or this impulse for joy. So when the joy is absent, when the energy is absent, there can be this over correction behavior that comes from the 18. The gate 18 is the gate of correction. So there can be this tendency to want to find fault and want to correct things because you're reaching for that joy. And you can also experience this with the entire channel, this fault finding and perfectionism and all of that. So what I like to say about this whole dynamic here is that corrections and judgment are for systems and not for people. So if you're correcting people, the energy is not being used in the optimal way. If you're fault finding and you're nitpicking, it could be because you're feeling this insecurity from not having access to the energy for joy.